Hey and welcome, I'm Hammeh, and in this video we're going to be doing a quick analysis and run through of Overwatch's latest short, Dragons, telling the tale of what happens when Hanzo returns to Hanamura, as he does every year, to honour his fallen brother, and then gets a bit of a surprise. We're going to be going through the short in quite a bunch of detail, having a look at things that we enjoyed, questions that have been raised, and maybe new things that we've learnt as well about Hanzo, Genji, the history between them and the Overwatch universe. Suffice to say, this contains heavy spoilers, so if you haven't watched the short, go and check it out on the Overwatch channel now. We've grabbed some key themes in the short that we're going to bring together, as most of them are spread throughout the entire short. The first thing that we saw, which was an interesting piece, was the Tale of Two Dragons. Now, there's a whole Tale of Two Dragons that is the tale that Hanzo and Genji's father told them about two dragons who fought, one killed the other. Ultimately, one of the dragons was redeemed when he met his brother, who had shown him the humility of walking on Earth. This shows up a lot in Hanamura. You can see the dragons on the doors, you can see the dragons on the painting, above the banner, and in a bunch of other places too. So it's kind of cool mixing of the storytelling of the short with the actual physical design of the level. Very awesome. As Hanzo makes his way into Hanamura, whoever is currently occupying the building and the site tries to stop him. It looks as though Hanzo actually kills the Omnic, or bot, we're not entirely sure which it is, but all of the humans are just disabled. Now, some people have sort of said this means that Hanzo's got something anti-Omnic. Maybe he's just got a special arrow that takes out the Omnic for a while. We're not entirely sure. It was kind of cool to see the Omnic in a suit as well as the other gods, so don't know whether that's a quality, just guard uniform, or a dressed up bot. The next cool thing was Hanzo's bow ability. Now, there were so many examples of this in the short, but here are some cool things. For example, he can shoot phones out of people's hands. He can actually curve arrows. We saw that when he was fighting Genji. The sheer force of this arrow that he fires actually throws Genji backwards when Genji tries to deflect it. And then finally we see Hanzo's in-game ability, a scatter arrow shown as well. A bit of simple geometry that Genji has to avoid. It's good to know that Genji is not immune to a random headshot coming in here and there. This short also gives us a bit of an update as to Hanzo's feelings as to what happened between him and Genji. We can see that he actually comes to Hanamura to remember Genji every year on the same day, and Genji has clearly seen him doing this. Hanzo didn't know he was still alive, we know this. Hanzo was also left pretty much directly after killing him, according to his official bio, if we read that right. And remember that in the meantime in this universe, Genji and Overwatch have taken apart the Shimada Empire. That was the price Genji paid, as it were, for being brought back to life effectively by Overwatch, with the treatment of Dr. Angela Ziegler, or Mercy, and also the extensive cyberization that we can see that he's gone through. Genji says, you tell yourself your brother disobeyed the clan and you had to kill him to maintain order, so that gives us a little bit more background detail around why Hanzo and Genji had an altercation. Genji was clearly disagreeing or disobeying the clan. We know that Genji didn't want to get involved in the clan business, so maybe that's the reason that Hanzo actually had to kill him, or maybe they had a final confrontation where Genji said that he didn't want to get involved. That's a little bit more light, perhaps, on the fight in front of the flag, where presumably Hanzo left Genji for dead. The exact reason we're not sure, but we can have a reasonable speculate at it. It's really nice to see in this short a little attention to detail on Genji's suit. It lights up at the beginning, so we know presumably that as a ninja and in his suit he can control the lighting, always handy when you're trying to sneak around being undetected. Another interesting thing was the kind of sounds that the suit makes. At several points during this sort of soundscape, the soundtrack of this trailer, Genji's suit noises are turned up, so you can actually be reminded of the fact that he's a cyborg, reminded of the fact that he's got this additional assistance. However the suit works, Genji has serious mobility and strength from it. We can see from the way that he jumps and moves, he's definitely jumping and moving in a way that's not humanly possible for a given degree of human. So we can't be entirely sure what humans can and can't do with a bit of normal help at this stage, but Genji's cyberization certainly makes him do some out of the ordinary things. A final nice little attention to detail, whether it has meaning or not, is that after Genji's used his ultimate and Dragon Blade to knock Hanzo down and almost reflect his Spirit Dragon, there's a little pressure coolant system release of something. These little parts on his suit actually pop up. A lot of people have been speculating about those too. We don't know what they are or what they do, but I just love the attention to detail. As a final chunky topic, and I'll probably do a separate video on this because so many people are interested in it, it's the issue of magic against science in the Overwatch universe. Now, this is a hot topic. It comes from Hanzo's Spirit Dragon, somehow summoned with the help of his tattoos or from his tattoos as we see in the footage. Current theories mix from it being ancestral magic of some kind to it being more of a hard light construct or a tech bow, something a bit more like Symmetra's projections. At the moment, and this is purely my personal preference, no evidence for this, I'd probably prefer a more future-y science with some very heavy theoretical science in there above an it's magic solution, but we still need more info, like for example what's happened to Reaper, why he is the way he is, and why can he do what he does. He can effectively disapparate and sort of drop his form and then reappear and put himself back together. If Reaper's current state has a scientific explanation in the Overwatch universe, and of course we already have Hard Light as a very future technology existing with Symmetra's projections and similar, then there could well be an Overwatch science explanation for Hanzo's Spirit Dragon and also Genji's Dragon Blade. In terms of what these abilities do in the Overwatch universe, I found it really interesting that the Spirit Dragon and indeed Genji's Dragon Blade physically push Hanzo back, but he's able to stand on the spot and withstand those. However, they don't evaporate him like a beam or anything. You don't see him being burnt, for example, but he is noticeably weaker after he's been hit by them and totally unable to resist Genji's final approach with the sword. The final thing, though, that again a lot of people have been talking about is Hanzo saying only a Shimada can control the dragons. Now that makes it sound like a secret, something ancestral, something that's been passed on from Shimada generation to generation. It doesn't have to be ancestral magic, but I can see how people think that that sounds a little bit like that. What do you reckon? Let us know in the comments below. Finally, as we get towards the end of the short, Hanzo says, "Real life is not like the stories our father told us. You were a fool for believing it so." We know that Genji was clearly a bit of a dreamer. We know that he lived a playboy, kind of chilled out lifestyle when he was a kid. Interesting to see that little insight into Genji's character. Finally, Genji disappears. May just be a cloud of smoke or similar, but he leaves this feather. Now, Hanzo was meditating over a feather at the beginning. What's this link of feathers to Genji or birds or similar, if any? Was it something he wore? Interested to find out? So really enjoyed the short, just going to throw up a couple of little Easter eggs that were pretty cool that we spotted. There may well be more, I'll have another look through. Firstly, the level details we've already shown. Now I've shown these in a couple of videos already, so I won't go through them in too much detail, but here they are. You can check out my Hanzo and Genji voiceline videos, linked below, and of course in the voiceline playlist, if you want to see a lot more detail on these two and their backstories. But the shuriken in the wall, the arrows all over the level, the blood in the cut flag, and also the broken wall barrel in Hanamura where Genji pins Hanzo down. Really nice touch. And as a final one, when Hanzo runs past the moon on the way into Hanamura, we can again see the extensive colonisation on it. Now Blizzard picked this out in a few cinematics. If you want some quick backstory on that, Winston is from Horizon. Horizon is a lunar colony. Clearly there's a lot of colonisation on the moon. We don't know how much, but we definitely know that Horizon is part of it. It looks pretty big, so it'll be interesting to know to what extent the moon has been colonised. We know that Lucheng Interstellar, the company on their Lijiang Tower map, are a big part of space exploration. Remember also that Winston's fellow monkeys, not scientists of course, killed the scientists on the Horizon base and took over the colony, according to Winston's backstory. We presume at the moment that Dr. Harold Winston, the scientist we see in Recall, who looked after Winston, was one of those who also died. We just don't know. Remember, at the moment, the moon is a pretty dangerous place. Thanks so much for tuning into that quick recap. I've ad-libbed a chunk of it, but it was a really cool short. There's some really, really interesting things in there. Looking forward, hopefully, to more in future. We're going to be dropping more voiceline videos for all the heroes, lore updates and little Overwatch news updates as they come, and of course our push play guide series, which is going to be winding up and going out over the next few weeks. Thank you so much for all the support. Really appreciate it. Hopefully see you soon. I've been Hammeh. Take it easy.